Hello, my name's Layla and I'm a developer. And in the last video, we learnt about loops and conditional logic. In this video, I'm going to teach you about an object. Now, C# is an object-oriented programming language, which means we model a lot of everyday stuff as objects, or sometimes called classes. They can also be for processors or whatever, but don't worry about that. So let's head over to code and make an object. In our last video, we made a rather cheesy survey. Let's see how that works again. We had a while loop where we checked if someone had answered our question or not. If they did, we give them a lump of cheese or a lump of coal if they didn't like cheese. And if they didn't give us a yes/no answer, we asked them for a yes/no answer and went through that cycle until we got the answer we wanted. So this time we are going to create a person because we've got a user. Why not make them into an object? We're going to start by creating a new person file. We can add that, call it person, and because this is Visual Studio Code, we need to give it a file extension, in this case .cs for a C# file. An object, sometimes called a class, is defined by public class person. This first part is called an accessor, and you can change that to different levels, but don't worry about that right now. We're going to keep it as public so all of our code can see it. Inside a class, you can have things called properties. They're just a type of variable. You can also have methods. More on those later. So the first thing we're going to do is create a name property, and that's going to be a public string because it's a bit of text, and we're going to call that name. Now, all properties need a getter and setter. Don't worry too much about this now, just know that they are needed. We also had a bool where we asked them if they liked cheese. So there is a shortcut for writing a property. You can write prop for prop and then tab. This type is going to be a bool, and we'll say likes cheese. And the last thing we're going to say is, do they have a favorite cheese? Let's go public string favorite cheese. And again, we just need that getter and setter. Cool. We've created a class or an object. And it's good to imagine this like a blueprint. We can't just use this class. We have to make an instance. We have to build something from this blueprint. Back in our program file, we're going to change the string name over to our new person. But first, as I said, we have to create a new person object. So for that, we say this is going to be a type person. Let's call it person1 is equal to a new person. Now we can set this console.readline to be equal to our personOne.Name. So think of this as an object. It has these properties, and we're going to set the name property to equal whatever the user inputs. Now, you can see we've got a red squiggle down here where name is. That's because we deleted that name variable. So we need to change that for our new personOne.Name. Let's copy that and place it in there. Alrighty, so it looks like that's all going to work. Let me minimize that. Let's run it and see. We ask for a name. We can type in our name. Looks like it's running. Yes. Cool, I get a lump of cheese. Just what I fancied. Let's go back and add some other things to our properties. In our person class, we have a bool called likes cheese. Let's set that one next. Here we ask if they like cheese. So let's see what happens when I set this one to person1.likes_cheese. We get an error. Now, why do you think that is? Well, if you remember, console.readline returns a string, and likes cheese is a bool. You can't set a string equal to a bool. They're different types. So we're going to set likes cheese in a different way. If you go Control or Command Z, we can undo the code we just wrote. And then down in the if-else statement, we know whether they like cheese or not. So what we're going to do is, if they like cheese, we're going to go person1.LikesCheese equals true. And then we don't need to set it in no because person.LikesCheese defaults to false. So we can just leave it at the default value and just set it in the one place. We have one final property on our person class, and that's favorite cheese. So let's go and ask them a question about their favorite cheese. We're only going to ask them what their favorite cheese is if they like cheese. So in our if they like cheese section, let's ask them what their favorite cheese is and then get their response. And we know that we're going to get a string back, so we can use that fancy string interpolation that we used earlier on this line to pass through favorite cheese and give the user a lump of their favorite cheese rather than any old cheese. Again, the $sign, and then we're going to replace the word cheese with two curly braces and pass in that favorite cheese value. And we can also set favorite cheese on our person. So let's go and do that. And in fact, we can do that all in one line. We can go person.favorite cheese is equal to that. And then we can go and update the response here. Let's run it and see if it works. All right, my name is Layla. Yes, I like cheese. Pineapple cheese. Who else likes pineapple cheese? Let me know in the comments. Awesome, I got a lump of pineapple cheese. All right, looks like our code is working. So what is a function? Well, it's a way of gathering a whole load of code or functionality into one reusable container, or lots of reusable containers. We're going to write 3 different types of functions. And if you think of a function as a box, you can put nothing in the box and get nothing out of it. It just does something. We can put something in the box and get nothing out, and we can put something in the box and get something out. So let's start with the first one, where we give it nothing and we get nothing. For our first method, we're going to ask the person for their name. Something really basic, just to show the functionality. So we use the keyword void, which means we're expecting nothing in return. Methods work well if you give them good names. So let's say ask username and console.writeLine, hello, what is your name? And to use this method, we're just going to call it right where we asked that before. You can see we get nothing from it and we're giving it nothing. Let's run it and see if it works. Well, it's printed hello, what is your name? So it's definitely working. If you want to exit a program early, you can go Control-C and it will quit out. Let's write the next type of function where we give it something, but we get nothing out. Let's take this line here, console.writeLine, hello, person name, do you like cheese? Now we're going to give it this name. I'm going to copy this line, and just like before, we're going to have void because we're expecting nothing back. Ask if they like cheese, and then we're going to ask this. Now we need to pass this name in. So what we're going to do is ask for it here. So we say the type of thing we want, which in this case is a string, and we pass that in, and then we pass that variable into here. All right, to use this, we're going to copy this line. We're going to go back up to where we ask them if they like cheese, and we're going to replace that line. And now we're going to pass in the person.name. So we can delete this and we can go personOne.Name. Let's run it and see if it works. All right, so we got the first one. Well, looks like it worked. It got my name and it asked me if I like cheese. Let's exit the code and let's write the third type of function. This time we're going to give it something and we're going to expect something back out. Right, what shall we do this time? Let's write a method that composes this bit of text that we're going to print to the line. That's going to take an object and give string back. All right, so this time it's not going to be void. We're going to have a string because that's what we want out. And let's call this GetCheeseMessage. And this time we're going to return something. And that's why this has a red squiggle. It's saying, hey, I'm expecting to give something back, but you've not given me anything to give back. Now we're going to write a string cheese message, and let's set that to string.empty. So that's just nothing. You could also write that as string.empty. That's another little helper method from string. And then we need to write an if-else statement. Now, if a person likes cheese, we're going to give them one cheese message, else we'll give them the other message. So we need to pass in our person. Now we'll have person, let's call it person, and then we're going to write person.LikesCheese because that's a bool, it's a statement of truthiness. Now I don't need to set this to equal true because it defaults to checking if that's true. If we wanted to check false, we'd need to go person.LikesCheese equals false. So it's easier to write it this way. All right, so what's the message we want to say if they like cheese? We want them to get the message where they get a lump of their favorite cheese. So cheese message is equal to favorite cheese, else they're going to get a lump of coal. So we set cheese message to here is a lump of coal. Delicious. Now the final thing where this is getting angry at us is we haven't returned our cheese message. So after we've decided what the message is, we can go return cheese message, and now our method is happy. So how do we use this? Let's go back up to where we need it, and we want it to be in here. So let's go string cheese message is equal to this message. And here we've got that red squiggle because it wants us to pass in a person object. And in this case, that's our instance person1. And then we can replace the contents of this console.writeLine with our cheese message. Let's make it cheese message, shall we? That makes more sense. Now that's assigning the outcome of our GetCheeseMessage method to this string, but we can also do that all in one go. So I can delete that in here and do it in one line, if that makes more sense to you. Either way is fine. Choose which way works best for you. All right, let's run it and see if it works. All right, my name is Layla. Do I like cheese? Yeah. What's your favorite cheese? I have to like a bit of cheesy music. Rick Astley. Sorry. Yay, I got a lump of Rick Astley. I hope you enjoyed that video. We covered some object-oriented programming by making a person object, and then we learnt a little bit about some methods or functions. If you've liked the video, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content on coding, and I will see you next time. Bye!